very good morning to each and everyone watching Mama Gasabo Television. Thank you for being with us again to be with me, Kamika Gislen. Now let's kick off the news headlines. Rwanda steps up efficient land use strategy to boost food security. Rwanda fast tracks multipurpose dams to erase water shortages by 2026. On the international news, Lieutenant Colonel Damiba, former leader of Burkina Faso, expelled from Togo. Now let's take a short break to be back on the news details. Welcome back. The Saturn News in Rwanda. Rwanda's government has emphasized efficient land use to meet growing food and animals feed demand as pressures mount from rising population and limited land. Agriculture Minister Telfon Damiba told senators on January 19, 2026. Officials outlined strategies to boost production of key crops like maize and soybean, which are essential for both human consumption and livestock feed, despite constraints on land and reliance on imports that drive up costs. The session highlighted the urgent need to increase yields through land consolidation, improved irrigation, mechanization, and the establishment of food basket sites, priority zones designed to maximize productivity on existing farmland. With Rwanda's population projected to grow significantly by 2050, Damiba said intensifying production on current land is critical as expansion isn't feasible. The government also plans to expand further production and build reserves for processed food byproducts to address persistent animal feed shortages. Moving ahead, Rwanda is accelerating construction of major multipurpose dams to address chronic water shortages and bolster climate resilience, with several projects expected to operational by 2026. Officials say the Muvumba multipurpose dam in Nyagatare district will store 55 million cubic meters of water irrigation for livestock, domestic use, hydropower, and fishes, benefiting nearly 800,000 and supporting irrigation on 11,000 hectares. The project is financed with 121.5 million euros from the African Development Bank. The proposed Walufu Dam in Gasebo district will hold about 25 million cubic meters and supply water for irrigation and drinking purposes. Meanwhile, the Nyabarongo Dam, now over halfway complete, will add 43.5 megawatts to the national grid, support irrigation across more than 20,000 hectares to improve water supply and reduce flooding. Proceeding, the Rwanda Defense Force engineer contingent, in collaboration with engineers from the Jamaica Defense Force, have officially launched joint reconstruction works in Montego Bay, St. James Parish. The activities commenced with the reconstruction of houses for local residents affected by Hurricane Melissa, marking the start of practical humanitarian and engineering support to impacted communities. The joint efforts reflect close coordination between the two defense forces in support of Jamaica's recovery and rebuilding process. Turning to the next story, the Rwanda Investigation Bureau has arrested Benjamin Manirakiza, an university lecturer, in connection with allegations of child defilement, authorities confirmed on Monday, January 19. Preliminary investigation indicated that Manirakiza allegedly sexually abused female students, reportedly luring them with money. The university where he taught has not been yet disclosed. Preliminary investigation revealed that on multiple occasions the lecturer had sex with various secondary school girls from different schools in Bugesera district, having lured them with money. Manirakiza is currently being held at Rwenzamenyo station in Nyarugenge district, and his case file has been submitted to the prosecution for further legal proceedings. RIB stressed that sexual abuse of children violates fundamental rights, harms victim futures, and causes lasting damage to families and the wider community, reiterating the government's commitment to protecting minors and pursuing justice. Now let's take a short break to be back on the international news. Welcome back. On the international news, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Sandoago Damiba, who led Burkina Faso from January to September 2022, when he was ousted by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, was expelled from Togo.
On the international news, later in Africa, where former Burkina Faso leader Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Sandaogo Damiba has been expelled from Togo and may face extradition. French international radio RFI said Damiba, who led Burkina Faso from January to September 2022 before being overthrown by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, was removed from his home in Lome on January 16, 2026 and taken to court of appeal to determine his fate. The Burkina Faso government have requested his release, accusing him of plotting to overthrow Captain Traoré, a crime Damiba himself announced on January 3rd. Following a ruling by the Rhone court, Damiba's belongings were removed from his heavily guarded residence. On January 17th, soldiers escorted him to the airport and fled him to an undisclosed destination. Although neither government has officially commented, Le Monde reported that he may have been sent back to Burkina Faso to stand trial. If returned, Damiba could face serious charges, including treason, which is punishable by death. Proceeding on international news, US President Donald Trump threatened to impose a 200% tariff on French wines and champagnes to pressure French President Emmanuel Macron into joining his new Board of Peace initiative designed to address global conflicts. Trump said he might levy the steep tariff to persuade Macron, despite Macron's reported decision not to join. Trump insisted the tariff would encourage participation, though he also maintained that joining was optional. The Board of Peace first proposed last September as part of Trump's plan to help end the Gaza war has since been broadened to tackle conflict worldwide. The US administration has sent a draft charter to about 60 countries, proposing that members contribute $1 billion if they want to stay beyond 3 years. Governments reacted cautiously, with diplomats warning the initiative could undermine the United Nations. Trump also revealed he invited Russian President Vladimir Putin to join the board, highlighting his push to recruit global leaders to the initiative. Concluding our international news, Iranian authorities have ordered protesters involved in what they call riots to surrender within 3 days or face severe punishment as the country grapples with its worst unrest in years. National Police Chief Ahmad Reza Radan said young people who were deceived into joining protests could receive leniency if they turn themselves in. The demonstration, initially sparked by economic hardship, escalated into widespread violence that officials blame on foreign enemies seeking to destabilize Iran. While pledging hard punishment for those accused of organizing terrorist acts, Iran's top political leaders also promised to address livelihood and economic problems. Information about the crackdown has been limited due to an ongoing internet shutdown. However, the Iran Human Rights Group said it has verified the deaths of at least 3,428 protesters, warning the true toll may be far higher. Thousands have reportedly been arrested, raising concerns internationally that authorities may resort to executions to suppress. This is the end of our international news. This is Mamor Gagasawa Television.
As we come to the end of our news edition, let's remind you of the top stories that we talked about. Rwanda steps up efficient land use strategy to boost food security. Rwanda fast tracks multipurpose dams to ease water shortages by 2026. On the international news, Lieutenant Colonel Damiba, former leader of Burkina Faso, expelled from Togo. And this marks the end. Stay tuned.